Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mer Herosner Podcast Season 4, Episode 11. Thank you for joining us live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And to all of you who will be listening to us later on, we thank you for tuning in. It is Thursday, March 7th, 2024. I'm your host, Vic and Mike, and as always, I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Mr. Mike Balyan, where we discuss our great Armenian history, covering different eras, topics, and people. Make sure you hit that like button and you are subscribed. If you're listening to us on a podcast platform, make sure you give us a good 5-star review. Share with your friends and family. Also, if you want to support our show, you like what we are doing, please support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/Mer Herosner and donating as little as $5 a month to support our little podcast for all the projects that we are doing on the side. How you doing, buddy?
Busy.
Yeah, I know.
Really busy.
I know.
I've been in a cave for a long time, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
and being busy, both of our schedules, plus doing all the new research for all these new episodes that we'll be doing. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has.
I feel like it's been a little bit too long, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, well, we still talk.
I know.
Maybe not as often, but still.
Well, what I'm saying is like just being in the studio again and
it's just nice to get out of the cave.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Well, today's episode will be covering the history of Cilicia and Prince Ruben. Again, we've mentioned it before. If you're following us on Instagram, we've been posting a lot of reels of our old episodes, and it's time consuming to do a lot of research. We wanted to, as we've presented every episode when we talk about these historical events or people that we've covered, we want the research to be right. So we had to dig in, and we got help from a lot of historians that we work with to guide us in the right direction, to find the right resources to put this together. And a lot of them are taken from different books, articles, to kind of put a picture together. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Because we wanted to, Cilicia is such an important
time in our period.
Yeah. And we wanted to kind of cover the history of it and then the beginning of the Armenian Cilicia, right? The kingdom.
I know we've talked about it briefly on a few occasions, but they were just touch points with specific topics.
Yes.
Like Ani. Or I think we did discuss long ago, if maybe it was in season 2, we talked a little bit, or was it season 1?
It was season 1 with Gevorg. Gevorg Nazarian. We covered a little bit of it, and then again with Christina, Dr. Christina Moranci, we've covered that period with the medieval Armenia and with Ani and everything. But so now we're just going to do a brief history about Cilicia and then cover a little bit of Prince Ruben's life. Again, there's not much information, unfortunately, but we try to find the best sources to be able to present this to you guys, and hopefully we'll do justice to this time period.
Yeah, tonight's information is going to be a little bit more like a preview, a prelude, so to speak, of what's to come.
Yes.
I know exactly. we've been kind of lugging around the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th centuries with the Bagradunis and whatnot. There was a lot of information. I know we went back and forth because it required it.
And there was so many different characters that were
too many
involved.
Players.
Yeah.
Too many players.
That entire
it was crazy.
Yeah, that entire spam of a few 400 years or so. It was just like back and forth and for a minute, it felt like we were stuck there.
It was such a time of, if you look at where history kind of sits itself on the timeline. Yeah. In that particular time, there was a lot of changes with, let's just say, the map.
Yes.
And people's being displaced and people's coming in and taking over this new area, right? So it was a lot of geopolitics.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot of geopolitics.
A lot.
10th century geopolitics.
Yeah. And if you guys if you're new to the show or you're just discovering about our podcast, we highly encourage you to go back and listen or watch those episodes that we did. We try to keep it in a chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start listening to podcasts from the beginning, you just kind of it's periods of
we've moved along with the timeline. Yeah.
And here and there we have guests that we cover different topics, and we'll continue to do that. We do have a lot more guests coming in the near future. And we're just trying to sort out times, and a lot of our guests are unfortunately in the East Coast or in a different country, so the time to get them live is very, very difficult. But before we dive into the topic of Cilicia, we wanted to talk about a couple of things you guys are going to see on the screen right now. Jamie, can you put that up? Jamie. We need a Jamie, man. I can't keep doing this by myself.
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Yeah. But yeah, so you guys.
Barkev shoot ara. Aragı satır.
Hi, Barkev. Okay, Barkev, put that on the screen. You guys are gonna see right now the sculpture, the Haik Nahapet sculpture. Again, we announced this about over a month ago, and we wanted to make sure that all 20 batches are sold before we start production. That's the deal we have with the manufacturer. Yeah. So we need you guys to pre-order these so we can close the 20. We needed 20 batches of the white and 20 batches of the bronze. We need another 5 or so, I believe, of the white to be sold, and another 10 of the bronze.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys see the link there. You can go ahead and click on that, pre-order it. Like I said, with all the profits from this will go to Hike for Our Heroes. This is the organization that we work closely with on many projects. And and the beauty about it is that you get to have this amazing sculpture designed by this amazing artist, Mr. Mike Balyan. It's one of the best pieces I think you've done yet.
Yeah, you've said that before. I have my personal favorites, but
I know, but I mean, I think Vartan is one of the best, but this one kind of like
there are other ones we haven't necessarily released. I know it's like a weird teaser, but it's going to be a lot more complex to manufacture those.
Yeah, but
a lot more complex.
We have a few Cilician kings coming up that we're going to be doing as well.
Yeah.
I know
even people we've talked about in the past. I mean, not that we're giving away some sort of trade secret. These are going to be a lot more complex to make, and production cost is.
Yes. But the other thing is, I know a lot of people reach out to us. Can you do this sculpture? Can you, guys? You need to understand something. To manufacture these, it's very expensive.
Yeah,
a lot of people talk about the price. Why is it so high? There's really not much profit in this. So we try to. And because these pieces, the way Mike designs them, they're so complex, it's very hard to sculpt out of marble. So it takes time, it's expensive. Just the boxes that they come into are very expensive. Yeah. So, you have to support. If we're going to release something, you guys have to support us by purchasing it. Selling, I mean, again, it's kind of sad to say we haven't even hit 20 of the Haik Nahapet. I mean, it's a little bit sad, and we need your support. This is for a good cause. And the next thing that I'm going to mention is the reservoir that we're going to be doing, the project that we're working with. And you guys going to see that you see the fundraiser. I believe it's on the left side or the right side on YouTube. This is for the Marts Village water infrastructure project that Hike for Our Heroes is doing, and we're supporting them, helping them raise funds. So from these sculptures that you purchase, we're going to donate the profits to them, which is going to be somewhere around over $4,000 for them to help with this. This is a very important project that they're doing. This village does not have any access to water. There's no running water.
Yeah.
So they're going to basically construct a new, complete pipeline that's going to, give the residents of this village to have running water going to their home. And their biggest, source of income is through agriculture, through farming, and they're not able to do that. So again, these are the little projects that they do. They do so much that they don't talk about. That's one of the reasons why we are join with them, and we have many more projects coming up that we will announce later. And the last thing I want to mention, again, with Hike for Our Heroes, April 21st, it is the Armenian Heritage Night with the Los Angeles Galaxy Soccer Club. We will be there, and we're going to put the link up. This is where you guys can purchase tickets. This is, again, April 21st. The game starts at 5 p.m., but before the game, about 3 hours before, we're going to start festivities. Kind of like almost, what do you call it? Tailgating kind of a thing.
I was about to say pregame.
Yeah, tailgating. There's going to be a lot of vendors there, food, music, drinks. We're going to be there.
Yeah.
We'll have a booth together with Hike for Our Heroes. It's going to be a fun time celebrating Armenian heritage at the Galaxy game. And it's going to be, and then later on, go watch the game. You can buy the tickets from each ticket you purchase through that link. You have to get through that link. $5 will go to Hike for Our Heroes. Plus, you'll get a mug. It's our Armenian Heritage Night mug that you'll get. And this will be at the Dignity Health Sports Park Stadium in Carson, where that's the home of the Galaxy.
Formerly known as the Home Depot Center.
Yes.
And StubHub Center.
Yeah, so many name changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's very important. We're going to be there. I'm a huge soccer fan. I know Mike is as well. So those of you who are fans of soccer, come join us.
It'll be fun.
It'll be fun. Again, April 21st. The festivities are going to start early, and it's just going to be a good old time. And this is going to be a great cause. So join us. Yeah. I'm excited for this. All right. I think that's enough. We've been talking about over almost 15 minutes just about announcements and stuff.
We've got a lot to say before history.
Yeah. So, all right. So back to Cilicia.
Yes.
All right. So in the year 27 BC, Rome had pretty much completely completed its conquest and annexation of Cilicia as part of the empire's extended province in the east. For the Romans, this newly annexed province was divided into two districts because of the clear topographical divides. Right?
Yeah. So the first district, which was called Cilicia Pedias, I had to throw in the accent. It makes it sound more authentic. Cilicia Pedias. Is a well-watered fertile plain bounded by the Taurus and anti-Taurus mountains and the Mediterranean Sea. The other Cilicia, Trachea, that I don't know if is pronounced correctly, is a rugged region on the southern Taurus range stretching west to Pamphylia.
Yeah. Now, by 20 BC, the annexation of Cilicia had secured the interior of the Anatolian plateau. This brought a large tracts of land in Asia Minor as far as the eastern Cappadocian border safely under the direct Roman administration. Now, I guess the state of affairs lasted well into the middle of the 1st century AD. But then, upon your favorite character, Mark Antony. I should say Mark Antony's marriage to Cleopatra in the autumn of 37 AD, the province of Cilicia, with the exception of Seleucia, was given to the new bride.
I guess she needed ample supply of timber, maybe from the Taurus mountains and whatnot.
Yeah,
building ships.
Building ships.
Yeah, building ships.
Back then, in Egypt,
cut a lot of trees.
All those fancy curved.
Well, I mean, a lot of that beautiful stuff needed wood.
Yeah. And we talked about them, when the Armenian Empire kind of was intertwined during Mark Antony and everything that was happening in that period. So again, that's another episode. You guys can go back and
you can hear me rant about Mark Antony.
Yeah. Though the Armenian province lying east of Cappadocia were outside the Cilician frontiers and were partitioned between Rome and Persia in 387 AD, the native inhabitants remained resistant to assimilation into the Greco-Roman civilization.
Yeah, under Emperor Gaius Diocletian, Cilicia Trachea became part of Isauria, And then around 400 AD, Cilicia Pedias was divided into Cilicia 1 and Cilicia 2, almost like two different districts, right?
Yeah.
With their churches placed under the Patriarchy of Antioch.
Yeah. Funny how they called it Cilicia 1 and Cilicia 2.
Did they run out of names?
I guess. I mean,
it doesn't sound too original, but okay, we'll take it.
Like they were too lazy. Like, here's 1, here's 2.
Where are you from? Cilicia 2. Ah, we don't like you.
Yeah. Now, with the spread of Islam, the ambitious Arabs brought their military machine to Asia Minor, and by the early 8th century had occupied the entire province of Cilicia. Again, go back, listen to those episodes. We talked about this a lot.
Yeah, but it was restored back into the Byzantine Empire by Macedonian Nicephorus II, Phocas, in 965, though the province did not have a unified administrative center, apparently, but was ruled through many separate regional factions or whatnot.
Yeah, true.
You know what
Very
I mean?
true.
So almost like they had governors maybe or something like this.
Now, though the Arabs failed to gain prominent foothold on the Anatolian plateau, their passive victories yielded an abundance of prisoners and much of the gold and the wealth.
Yeah, the movements, the transfers of large populations became understandably commonplace, right? I mean, you have so many shifting situations. Not unlike the 20th century, we had mass exoduses and dislocations.
Yeah.
Due to whatever you want to classify it as, political unrest, disagreements, wars, genocides. To say the least. Armenian inhabitants of Asia Minor, fleeing the Arab persecutions, resettled as refugees further west in Anatolia and in the frontier towns of Byzantium.
Yeah. Armenian nobles and high-ranking officials sought the protection of Byzantium from the onslaught of the invading Arabs. With the rapidly burgeoning threat of Islam throughout Asia Minor, it was becoming increasingly apparent to Byzantium that the empire would soon require manpower.
Yeah, the Emperor Justinian applied this policy on a grandiose scale, relying heavily on Cypriot, Slav, Syrian, and Armenian relocations into Anatolia and the northern Balkans.
Yeah.
He built the town of, I hope I don't butcher this, Lacedaemon, and settled in it with like a mixed population, right? There probably had to be a reason behind that, says the conspiracy theorist. Namely Kafirs, Thracians, Armenians, and others, making it into the bishopric.
Yeah.
It's interesting why you would do something like that, you know? I mean, first thought would be, and again, I'm not trying to get into any conspiracy theories or whatever the case is, but it would be interesting if you had control into populating an area with so many different tribes, let's just call it that. I would think it's more of like a control mechanism.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a unified group of people, right?
Yes.
And there's a reason why I'm mentioning this is because you'll understand as we get into this, into what started to develop.
Yeah. So the sizable portion of the settlers, particularly the Armenians, had come voluntarily. But the reason why you mentioned that was why they, especially the Armenians, right, is because they were excellent soldiers and horsemen.
Yeah.
And it was about manpower, right? The Armenian voluntary immigration into Byzantium began as early as the 6th century. From the reign of Emperor Maurice onwards, they were incorporated into the military fabric of the Byzantine army. And you know, again, we've talked about this before, to the point where we had high-ranking generals to emperors who were of Armenian descent.
Yeah. For example, Nerses in the 6th century, right? Valentinos Arsacuni in the mid-7th century held important military and court positions in Constantinople.
Yeah.
In time, the Armenians became the imperial army's backbone, more or less. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dominating the military establishment throughout the middle Byzantine period, if you will.
Yeah. Unlike the Slavs, the Armenians, by virtue of their long historical connection with imperial armies, rose to prominent positions in the hierarchy of the Byzantine politics.
Yeah.
Even in the politics, it was just
it's politics. Well, it's politics.
Yeah, it's politics.
It's politics. It's just the way it works.
Yeah.
It's just
no. What I'm saying is like they and you see this even with recent history, right? You go to like 20th century or even 19th century.
Yeah.
Armenians in that region always were kind of like drawn towards that military, government politics. It was something. It's something in our culture. I think it's in our nature to be in a leadership role.
Yeah. Well, there was. I mean, I might be butchering this saying. What is that saying? It's like if you're not interested in politics, politics is interested in you.
I've never heard of it.
I've never. But it's true.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like
yeah.
Anyone who ever answers that way, it's like, I don't really look into politics.
Yeah.
Politics will come after you.
That's a good question to you guys. What do you guys think? I mean, is this something in our culture that, because, throughout history, we seem to have this urge to be in these type of positions, no matter what, I mean, at the local level,
almost like white on rice.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. So, but do you guys think that's true? Is it something it's within our nature to do this, to be this leadership role, to thrive? Being in, you can call this a diaspora, right?
Yeah.
In that point, it was.
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It was, but at that time, absolutely was.
Yeah.
Anyway, so for instance, the Phokas and the Dukas families became really prominent.
Yeah.
The Emperor Leo V, previously a soldier and by race an Armenian, deposed his predecessor. Emperor Basil I is presumed to have descended from the kingly house of the Arsacids. And the successor of Nicephorus II Phokas as Emperor of Byzantium was the Armenian John the First, Tzimiskis.
We always had a hard time saying that.
Yeah.
Now, these two Macedonian emperors, during their respective reigns, aggressively crossed the Taurus Mountains into Syria, capturing Antioch and Edessa, among other many achievements through their reigns. An important aspect of the history of relocation of Armenian populations includes that of the Cilicians, considered a potential threat to the military stability of the border areas.
So what Emperor Constantine V did was he transported great numbers of Paulicians to Constantinople and to Thrace, utilizing their military skills and whatnot. Strategic move.
Yeah, definitely. The policy of relocation of the Paulicians was renewed by Emperor John I Themiskis, causing the city of Philippopolis to grow rapidly and become a major Paulician center.
The growth of private bands of armed guards employed by noblemen for the protection of their territorial holdings became more common from the 11th century onwards.
Indeed. And the offer that came in 1094 AD from Taurus of Edessa to Baldwin of Boulogne and his knights of the First Crusade is a perfect example of these alliances.
Yeah, now we're getting into the names that are very Holy War sounding.
Yeah.
Baldwin of Boulogne.
Yeah.
I'm of this knight order.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about the Crusades.
We'll get into the Crusades.
The Crusades, Cilicia was a major hub during the Crusades. So we'll talk about that in future episodes.
So, I mean, we were talking about the large number of Armenian settlements. They were more or less underway in Cilicia, as well as in Cappadocia, Thrace, northern Syria. I mean, you guys are kind of picturing the geographical area that we're talking about.
Yeah.
By the mid-10th century AD, the Armenians assumed important administrative roles in the province of Cilicia and quickly occupied leading positions by Byzantine commerce.
Yeah.
I almost always want to say Cilicia.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's how we call it.
I know, but still.
Cilicia.
I have to stop myself.
Yeah. Now, add to that, the Seljuks played a significant role in the Armenian immigration into Cilicia.
The Seljuks.
Yeah, especially after Malik Shah's conquest in the 11th century.
Yeah, a lot of suffering endured by Armenians at the hands of the Seljuks, as we know, which was obviously the major reason why a lot of that displacement occurred during that time. Into the regions that we're discussing, Anatolia, and then into Cilicia, Cilicia, and whatnot.
It's also fascinating when you think about it, right? Most of the Armenians who moved into Anatolia, whether by choice or by force, found themselves in a region that included Cilicia in the west and extended eastwards beyond the Euphrates northern shores.
Yeah, that's almost... I've read about that. It almost sounds like there was a lot of political divide, huh?
Yep.
With, let's say, the Hetumian house. I think we've briefly discussed that in the past.
Yeah.
Which basically was like west of the Cilician gates. Yeah. And the Rubenian house, which dominated the east side of it.
Yeah.
So you kind of have like your little clans.
Yeah.
Whether this was in Cilicia 1 or 2, we don't know.
Yeah. Another geopolitical chess game begins.
More Nakhararisms.
Yeah. It never stops in our history. It's always these geopolitical.
It's still like that.
With houses.
Well, it's still like that.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Change. Now, the Hetumians, with their power base in the fortress of Lampron and Barbaron, descended from the Armenians who had a history of loyalty to Byzantium. A good number of them had even adopted the Greek Orthodox faith, aligning themselves with Chalcedonian Christianity.
Yeah, and then there's the rivalry with the Rubenian house.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah. Those guys were aiming to expand their influence from the Taurus Mountains down to the plains and the lucrative trade ports, which we all know during that time along the Mediterranean were that was the gold mine, right? Anybody who had control of that stuff was prosperous. But it must have been, and we've talked about this even in prior episodes with 8th, 9th, 10th century, a lot of those ancient cities like Antioch and whatnot along the coast, they were huge port dominant cities, trade, money, prosperity, so on and so forth. It kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons.
Huge power struggle.
Yeah. Big time. Absolutely. The struggle is a classic tale of ambition and conflict. The Rubenians traced their lineage back to the Bagratids of Greater Armenia, a dynasty that we saw its end in the last episode we did, with the Byzantines taking Ani in 1045. The fall of Ani marked a pivotal moment, with King Gagik II losing his kingdom in a deceptive political maneuver by the Byzantines, and we talk about that in detail in that episode. The episode is the last reign with King Gagik II. So
yet another tragedy.
Yes.
Matthew of Edessa, who we've mentioned many times before, great historian, accounts paint a vivid picture of Gagik's bitterness towards the Byzantines, and we've discussed this, whom he saw as deceitful heretics after they tricked him into abdicating his throne.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly the best.
The trap was kind of messed up.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, how many times I'm sure we talked about how reluctant he was. The man had pride.
Yep.
100% he did. And they had to figure out, and you're talking about a power like the Byzantine Empire.
I know.
It wasn't just about one guy, one emperor sitting on the throne.
Going up against Goliath, right?
Yeah, you're thinking, you have a lot of thinking men and women who were probably sitting there coming up with a plan.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And at some point, you had to get what you want.
Yeah. And that saga continued with Gagik's son, David, marrying into the Armenian Artsruni family, which had ties to the Byzantine elite through conversion to the Greek Orthodox Church. Gagik's quest for vengeance led to a dramatic confrontation in Tarsus, culminating his murder by Greek conspirators in 1079.
See, I wasn't the only conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
There's Greek ones.
Yeah.
Oh. The act of vengeance by Baron Toros I, decades later, must have felt like a moment of poetic justice. The forced resettlements, though, they reshaped the socio-political landscape of Cilicia, offering the Armenian exiles unprecedented opportunities to thrive in a new region with new lands.
Yeah. But those resettlements were a double-edged sword. On one hand, they injected a new life into the Armenian communities with the Byzantine territories. On the other hand, they drastically altered the empire's defensive capabilities against the Seljuks' threat.
Well, you kind of went, when they say you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, you went from one rock in a hard place to another rock in a hard place. You shifted over. Yeah. It's literally, that's all it was.
True. Very true. Good point.
Yeah, the Seljuks really capitalized on the Byzantine strategic blunders from 1048 to 1054. They launched relentless raids into the eastern provinces, weakening the Byzantine grip on critical regions like Ani, Van, and Mush.
Yeah. The fall of Ani to Sultan Alp Arslan in 1064 was a critical blow to Byzantine prestige and control in the east. The city's storied past, from thriving Armenian capital to a pawn in the hands of conquerors, reflects the tumultuous history of the region.
Yeah, and then to think all of it ended with an earthquake. It's like all of this is happening, and this giant earthquake happens in, I believe, like 1300. That basically left Ani in ruins. Anyway, so the strategic missteps, it was kind of like a sign from God or something. It's like, enough.
No,
so
I agree.
A lot of these strategic missteps, resettlement policies, they all contributed to like the weakening of the Byzantine Empire, more or less on the eastern side, right? Making it so much more vulnerable to all the threats that were coming from the south and the east, which were more or less the Seljuks.
It's really a stark reminder of how geopolitical decisions, right, have such a long-term consequences.
Well, of course. Weak from the inside.
Shaping destinies of entire populations and altering the course of history. Now, the Armenian resettlement under the Byzantine is a perfect example of how ambition, conflict, and the quest for survival can intertwine to forge new paths and annals in time.
Yeah, I mean, we're experiencing it all over the world now. I don't want to bring up any glaring examples, but
no conspiracy theories.
No, they're not conspiracy theories. They're happening live. We're watching it happen live. I mean, it's not like this is the first time this has happened in history.
I mean,
right?
we've drawn comparison from everything we've talked about that has happened through our history.
Well, where do you think the people today learned it from?
No, it's not learning. It's just, yes, I understand. But what I'm saying is like, whatever's happening right now in the world with all the conflicts and everything, that's just, it is a cluster of just.
It's a rinse and repeat from the past.
Yeah. And when you read this and you talk about it, it's just, you're like, how can humanity not learn from all these mistakes, all trials and tribulations that they have gone through?
And this is why it's important to know your history. This is why. This is why we're both such advocates of this. And I'm not even being sarcastic.
We're still learning. We're still learning, guys. There's stuff about Cilicia that I had no idea and through these books and articles that we are reading, trying to put this information together for you, you're just like, wow, like it's the average person does not take time to do this, to read these books, and we understand that it's tough even for us. I think if we didn't do this, we wouldn't have spent this much time, because of our busy schedules, just life in general, to pick up a book and just like thoroughly study Cilician history, or the Baghdadids or anybody.
I think we can go broader of a conversation than that. I think a lot of the stuff that's going on in the world today, yes, a lot of people are kind of like, they follow the ignorance is bliss type of approach, which again, doesn't mean that's right or wrong. It's just a matter of this is how they choose to live their life. However, when you start to realize that a lot of what's going on today impacts your life, and you start thinking, holy cow, this has happened before, and it kind of, you start drawing those parallels, and it kind of sparks more of an interest. Now, you don't have to turn into a historian, but I know that's kind of what it did with me, personally speaking. That was kind of my story into, oh my God, I love history. This is awesome. You know?
Well, history can be boring, but
it can be.
Yeah, but that's why we do this, to make it exciting for you guys, as you know, if you think this is exciting.
Hey.
Now, after King Gagik II Bagratuni's assassination in 1079, the remnants of the Bagratid dynasty retreated into the Cilician mountains, emerging as a regional Ishkhans, right? They seemed to operate with a bold disregard to Byzantine rule.
The audacity.
Yeah,
the audacity. It is that audacity, probably fueled by the Byzantine Empire declining influence in the east, especially after Sultan Alp Arslan decisive victory at Manzikert in 1071. Yeah, it was a turning point, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Matthew of Edessa provides a vivid account of the Battle of Manzikert. He describes how Sultan Alp Arslan organized his forces against Emperor Romanus IV Diogenes. I think I pronounced that right.
Wow.
Setting the stage for dramatic confrontation.
I'm impressed. I need to go brush up on my Byzantium names. According to Matthew of Edessa, the emperor positioned his Uz and Pecheneg mercenaries on the flanks, with other troops leading the front and rear. But when the battle intensified, those mercenaries defected to the Sultan's side. Interesting move.
Yeah, and the aftermath.
Leading to probably a really catastrophic defeat.
According to our research, the aftermath was brutal. Countless Roman troops were slaughtered, and many were taken captive, including Emperor Diogenes himself, who was presented to Sultan in chains.
That's a huge. I can't even
picture that.
You hired mercenaries, which has been a common practice in warfare. Right, even today it is. You hire mercenaries to keep your guard, to keep your soldier strength, right, your numbers high. So you get these mercenaries, swords for hire. And who knows how many of them? I'm sure it wasn't just 5. Okay, there had to be thousands of them. And so these guys were supposed to go in and cause damage. And then maybe the Roman legions would walk in and finish it off. And these guys just walk off. Nope. They paid us more. Crown for you, a crown for you, a crown for you.
You see that nowadays.
I know.
When they
get those mercenaries. Well, that's why they're swords for hire, right? That's whoever gives them more money.
I mean, but picturing the emperor himself, like in chains in front of the Sultan.
Checkmate.
Just the embarrassment, right?
Anyhow,
the funny thing is, continue.
So there was a surprising twist. Despite the victory, Sultan Alp Arslan chose to make an alliance of peace and friendship with the captured Roman emperor. What a nice guy. It's a fascinating moment of diplomacy amidst the chaos of war. I wonder why.
Mr. Arslan was, being geopolitical games. He was a chess player. So, or at least we think he was. So,
okay, hold on. Hypothetically speaking, if let's say he, I don't know, chopped his head off, something. Now you're going to get the entire Byzantine Empire literally at your door. It had to have, it probably would have been what would happen, but at least this guy made a mark, right? Like, hey, I captured your emperor. Now I've given you peace offering. But I'm sure it had to be to his terms.
Yeah. Don't forget, most of these sultans or even emperors, they studied history. They looked at their, past,
of course,
what their past sultans or emperors have done, what kind of political moves they've made, and
some more brutal than others.
Yeah. Yeah. So now this battle and its aftermath underscored the Byzantine Empire's vulnerabilities and marked the beginning of a significant shift in power dynamics in the region. Mm-hmm. The Bagratid prince in Cilicia, now emboldened, started to carve out their own realm of influence, free from Byzantine oversight.
Crave would have worked too.
Crave?
Yeah, crave their own influence. Yeah. Anyway, the stage was set at this point for the Rubenians dynasty rise.
Yeah.
With the Byzantines' grip being loosened, the Armenian nobles began to assert their authority.
Yeah.
The opportunistic moment here.
Yeah.
A little bit more aggressively, I guess, and they started to lay the groundwork for some of their own legacy in the area.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Exactly. Yeah. The Rubenian dynasty would come to embody the spirit of Armenian autonomy and resistance against both Byzantine and later the Seljuk pressures. Their story is almost a testament to the resilience of Armenians, through shifting powers. Mm-hmm. And we've seen this throughout history. It's always whenever their backs are against the wall, you see them like just being able to figure out ways to face these challenges.
Yeah. So the battle at Manzikert and its consequences really put into perspective the complex interplay of warfare and diplomacy and the struggle for independence that defined this era. The Rubenians, emerging from the shadows of the Bagratids, were navigating these turbulent waters with remarkable skill.
Yes, they were. Their ascendancy in Cilicia not only highlights the changing fortunes of Armenian nobility, but also the broader geopolitical shifts that were reshaping the medieval Near East. It's a narrative of loss, resilience, and rebirth that resonates through the ages.
Yeah, that's right. That declaration, while symbolically marking the dawn of a new era, didn't immediately sever the complex ties of the vassalage of Byzantium. I mean, you can't just make an empire disappear.
Yeah.
It's a nuanced chapter in Armenian history, showing that freedom from Byzantine sovereignty over Cilicia was a gradual process, as is with everything, especially with history and geography, intertwined with the empire's broader geopolitical struggles and the Crusades.
Yeah, and this is where we're kind of getting into Ruben I's life, about how he took power. Now the lineage of Rubenian lords from Ruben I to Levon II, who was crowned King Levon I, by the way, navigated these turbulent waters with a blend of military prowess and diplomatic skill. Yet, the origins of Ruben himself remain shrouded in mystery and intrigue, adding layers of his legacy as a foundational figure in Cilician Armenian history. That was the other thing, we tried to, everywhere we kind of looked, there wasn't
not enough information for somebody
about him. I mean, we know that it was in 1080 during the fallout of the Byzantine Empire, that Ruben seized kind of the pivotal moment to kind of start the Cilician Kingdom.
Yeah, he kickstarted it more or less.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think there would be a little bit more documentation about that, right? Especially in a time where so much documentation was being kept.
Yeah.
We're not dealing with the Middle Ages.
Yeah. There isn't much. I mean, there's these bullet points about him, but there isn't. I wish there was a way to do this entire.
Well, we are dealing with the Middle Ages, just coming out of it. But this was a portion of history where there was a lot of stuff documented.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of documenting, historians like Kyriakos Ganzaketsi and Matthew of Edessa provide glimpses into Ruben's life, suggesting his connection to the last Bakrdid king, Gagik II. The ancestral link paints Ruben as a figure of legitimacy and continuity, bridging the old Armenian kingdom and its new future in Cilicia.
Yeah. After the tragic end of Gagik II, Ruben didn't merely seek refuge. He orchestrated a resurgence from the fortress of Kopitar.
Not to be mistaken
Kopitar,
with Andrei Kopitar from the Kings.
He rallied the remnants of Gagik's loyalists, embarking on a campaign to reclaim Armenian autonomy from Byzantine overreach, culminating a strategic victories like the capture of Barzapert. Yeah.
Yeah. His story, emblematic of a broader struggle for identity, sovereignty, right? But it's also a reminder of the individual players like Basilius the Crafty, which is, I kind of like that name, Basilius the Crafty. I wonder why he was crafty. As you've noticed, I kind of start picking on some of these nicknames.
He liked crafts.
What
art and crafts.
No, that's not why. It's
I
not
don't
like
know.
he owned a Michael's or something, bro. Come on. It's right across the street.
Don't give away our spot.
Come on, man. Basilius the Crafty.
We're in a bunker.
Like, it had to be something more.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of picture this guy as like a thief in the night or something.
Yeah.
You know, crafty lock picker or something.
This is weird.
Sorry. Anyway.
Talk about digressing.
Yeah. So anyway, Philaretus Brachiomenus, whose ambitions and actions helped shape the contours of the Rubenians dynasties, rise amid the post-Manzikert chaos.
Yeah. Philaretus's
you were gonna have
story
trouble with this one.
is particularly compelling. Utilizing the disarray within the Byzantine ranks, he expanded his influence towards Antioch, eventually aligning with Ruben against common adversaries. This alliance was a testament to the fluid nature of power and loyalty in the medieval Near East.
Yeah, their little duo.
Yeah,
they're challenged the status quo with the Byzantines quite a bit, but also expanded Armenian rule in the region into strategic locations, of course, which set the stage of growth and consolidation under the Rubenian umbrella, if you will.
Yeah. Now, Ruben's legacy, therefore, transcends his military conquests. It's about establishing a durable Armenian realm in Cilicia amidst the shifting sands of medieval geopolitics. His vision laid the groundworks for a cultural and political renaissance that would endure the tests of time and conflict.
Yeah, and then which we'll get to, of course, Ruben's son, Constantine, assumed the leadership and wasn't merely a succession, it was the affirmation of the dynasty's role in shaping Armenian narrative, turning Cilicia into a bastion of Armenian culture, governance, and resistance.
Yeah, and we'll talk coming up on upcoming episodes. We'll talk about Constantine and so many other lords and kings and so forth, but we're going to talk about him as well. Now, Ruben's death in 1095, while marked the end of his personal journey, opened a new chapter for the Rubenians, whose influence would weave through the fabric of Armenian and regional history for centuries. His story is a mosaic of ambition, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of autonomy, emblematic of the Armenian spirit.
Yeah, the Rubenians dynasty saga, initiated by Ruben's bold declarations, illustrates quite a complex play in history, culture, politics, and whatnot, especially during that time, with Armenia's experience in Cilicia during that time frame. It's a narrative rich in heroism, strategy, and above all, an unwavering commitment to the preservation and flourishing of Armenian identity in the face of adversity.
Yeah. So, that's pretty much it for this part of Cilicia. Like I said, we wanted to kind of give a short, I guess, description of how Cilicia began, going all the way back, like I said, in 27 AD.
What's to come,
and stuff like that. But yeah, interesting how all this stuff took place after Gogik's death, and Ruben kind of seizing the moment to
Gogik's death, Seljuk power emerging, Byzantine Empire not necessarily collapsing, but a lot of internal problems, weakening it. Armenians getting displaced, moving to another area, finding opportunity, and then becoming opportunistic over the Byzantine Empire, kind of dealing with its own problems and the Seljuks.
Yeah. Well, that was a nice putting it together of what we just covered.
Go. Come on, let's go.
And we should do a quiz after every episode and just like throw out, like actually maybe post a quiz, see if people can answer.
Man.
No, that'd be fun.
Like people to work,
like a little homework. I don't know. Like it'd be fun. No,
do you guys want that?
Yeah, you guys want us to put a quiz up there after what we to see if they're actually paying attention.
And
then throwing a conspiracy theory in there.
Quizzes and pop quizzes, man. Is there any human in the history of the world that liked pop quizzes or quizzes?
No. I know my kids hate pop quizzes.
I think so. See, I'm kind of speaking on behalf of humanity here.
Yeah. I know. I never liked pop quizzes. Yeah. No, I just think it'll be more interactive. That kind of put them to the test. See if they're paying attention to what we're.
Listen, if we were like talking to kids, I don't know if maybe one day.
Well, a lot of. we have
fine.
teenagers.
We can have a fun pop quiz with the kids.
No, but the teenagers listen to us.
I know, but if let's say we're in front of kids one day, we're doing this.
Yeah.
And then they can have prizes.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah. So kind of
a story time type of.
I don't know. Maybe they can have prizes. They can participate. It'll give them reason to want to take a pop quiz or accept a pop quiz. I'm not writing it, man. Whatever.
All right. So, well, like I said, this was a short episode, but this is all the information that we put together from all the sources we had to kind of give you guys, again, as I mentioned, an opening of the Cilician era.
Yeah.
We'll be back with a new episode and continuing the Cilician. Like I said, we'll cover Constantine and other events that took place, other kings, and a lot of more comparisons of things that happened, the political games that were played.
So tons of them because the Crusades were involved.
Yeah. So we'll try to make those even longer episodes, but like I said, we deal with what's in front of us and the amount of information we have.
Well, I mean, after this, you can kind of go into more specific things.
Yeah.
So we just kind of decided to do a little thing to kind of introduce what's to come.
All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, where we do updates and posts of everything that is going on with Mer Herosner podcast, sculptures and events. Make sure you support us on Patreon. First of all, I want to thank everybody who so far from day one that we launched Patreon has been supporting us. It's a handful of people, but we really, really do appreciate it, guys. It's again, it's not much, but it helps. But those people who are donating $5, $10, or some of them more, $20 a month. Thank you again.
Much.
These funds we use for a lot of the projects we're doing. It helps with equipment cost, production cost. All this stuff is not free. We spend a lot of our own finances to do this, and time is money, unfortunately, in this world nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, don't forget, just a reminder, come to the soccer game. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
It's a good cause, and plus we'll hang out and have a good time.
Yeah. We'll announce it on our Instagram as well, but you guys can click on that link that's on the screen to purchase your tickets to the Galaxy game. It's gonna be. I'm really excited. I can't wait.
It's an early, not late game. I think it's on.
No, it's at 5 p.m.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like a decent Sunday, right? I think it falls on.
I think 21st is a Saturday.
Are you sure?
I think it's
Sunday.
I don't know. We'll check it out. But maybe you can look it up. But I think it's a Saturday. I don't know, April 21st. But yeah, the game is at 5 p.m.
I am correct. It is a Sunday.
It's a Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a Sunday.
Sunday fun day.
Sunday fun day, yeah. So definitely come join us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel.
Thank you for that too.
Yeah.
By the way.
Hit that thumbs up. Like, share, let people know about us. I also want to thank everybody who has subscribed lately to our podcast. We're over 25,000. I think we're at like 27,000 something subscribers. We are grateful. Thank you guys. Keep it going. We want to hit that 100,000 mark. We still have a long ways, but
ways to go.
People, the feedback. Thank you for everybody who's been posting, messaging us, and it really gives us the how do I put this? It really ignites the fire to continue doing this, because we get messages from people telling personal stories of what they experienced after finding out about this podcast and listening to certain episodes. That we had a young lady reach out to us who is trying to find her lineage because of a certain book that was given to their family that had the lineage, and they go all the way to, I believe, the Baghdad dynasty that was lost, and they're trying to find it. I mean, so many stories like that, and it really, really, really makes us want to continue and do a lot better. So we are thankful to everybody. We see those messages, we read them, we respond. So if you guys want to reach out to us, please feel free.
Yeah, and it's us. We don't have other people.
Yeah, it's just us. Two regular guys.
Yeah. We don't have secretaries or social media people.
Well, don't forget.
Oh, Bodkev?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Bodkev doesn't answer the emails.
He's got
or
thick
the comments.
skin.
Yeah. But again, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. So as we always say at the end of every episode, respect one another,
love one another.
Until the next episode, take care of yourselves.